Hello everyone. Today we will review the movie Priest. I can't believe I've never watched this movie yet, or at least I don't remember seeing it if I have in the past. So I'm gonna say that this was my first time viewing it anyway because I don't remember it, or I don't remember ever seeing it before. But anyhow, this movie stars Karl Urban and Paul Bettany, and Paul Bettany is probably more known for his role in the Avengers movies than anything else now, I would say. But if you're a Paul Bettany fan, definitely go check this movie out. And if you're a fan of Karl Urban, go check this movie out. So this movie starts with this scene where they're in these catacombs, I guess, kind of type thing. And they're hunting these creatures, which is explained a little bit shortly after that they are vampires. So they've basically been set up inside this hive, I guess. Catacombs, hives, whatever you want to call them. And then Karl Urban's character, which, because I wasn't sure how big of a role he was going to play in this movie, it looks like he dies right off the hop. So I was like, oh, okay, well, he didn't last very long. I guess we'll see what this movie's all about. But anyhow, it ends up being that Karl Urban ends up being the bad guy because when he was taken down into the hive, he was given powers by the Queen to become the first human vampire. Something that I guess had never been done before. And basically, in the animation at the beginning, it shows the vampires kind of wreaking havoc over the years. And I guess it kind of looks like it's supposed to be set in the future a bit, but it looks like we've almost gone back in time again, as opposed to forward. There's, what was it? Not districts, but sectors to the city. So each priest was basically banished to a different sector, is how I understood it, so that they could never be together again, because after all the vampires were vanquished, they disbanded the priest organization, and they were trained by the church to, their main goal was to kill vampires. So basically now in the present day, we are basically the whole city, even each sector, is controlled by the church. So basically they're just told to trust whatever the church says. So this movie was very religiously based, I guess you could say that. But the action and scenes in this movie were absolutely incredible. And the vampires were kind of different in a sense. It was almost, except for the human vampire hybrid that Karl Urban was, the vampires were very interpreted differently, or animated differently, or however you want to put it. They didn't have the same look as a typical vampire you'd see in other movies. It was kind of like a mix between Doom and Resident Evil, I would say, almost. This whole kind of movie was very interesting in that sense, that the vampires were creatures that kind of ran on all fours instead of like flying creatures like you would think they would normally be. So that was an interesting concept, I would say. So this movie starts out with this family after the whole scene where the guy gets dragged, with Karl Urban's character gets dragged into the hive, right? And then there's this family sitting down for dinner, and then they hear this rumbling, and I'm like, uh-oh, something bad is obviously going to happen. And then they see all these vampires coming towards them, and then the daughter is taken. Only later we find out that Lucy, the daughter, is actually the daughter of Paul Bettany's character, the priest. And so basically he goes to save her. I believe that it was his brother that that Paul Bettany's character gave his daughter Lucy up to. So then the sheriff comes to find the priest after he realizes that he has gone against the church and gone against his vow. So he comes to find him to hunt down the vampires and obviously find Lucy. So that's what they do. And then what else was I going to say? So basically, kind of along the way, the priest shows the sheriff how to take down the vampires. He says there's always a point A and a point B, and you got to pay attention to both. And once you realize what those are, you'll be able to kill a vampire. So kind of along the way, he develops his skill, I guess. And by the end of the movie, when they're on the train, before it gets to the city, after it has destroyed this smaller town called Jericho, and Karl Urban's character, who was known as Black Hat in this movie, is able to kill 3 of the priests. So they know that they're chasing something far more dangerous than just a regular vampire now. So their plan basically is to blow up the tracks and the train, and then all the vampires would die from the sunlight, right? It doesn't really go as according to plan because there's these... I don't know whether they were like changing slowly into vampires, but they're known as familiars. I guess it's kind of... they've been infected in some sort of way. I'm not really sure how to describe it. I guess maybe they've just been poisoned by the vampires, yes, in some sort of way. They never really went into full detail on that, I don't think. So it's not the same as Karl Urban's character. They're just kind of poisoned in a way. It was kind of odd, that part, but anyhow. So basically, the priest has said that he will kill his own daughter if she ends up being infected. But the sheriff obviously doesn't want that to happen because he's in love with her. I guess they had some sort of relationship that even the priest didn't know about. So they are able to blow up the train and save the day. And Black Hat unfortunately dies. And then he goes back to the city and throws one of the vampires' heads back in the clergy's face, and then leaves again to go somewhere else, because obviously if he stayed in the city now, he would be arrested due to the fact that he went against the church. So this kind of left it opening for a second movie, but I don't think there was ever any talks of it, unfortunately. A lot of good movies seem to have that, where they could have had at least a sequel, and then it just kind of dies off, and nobody ever picks it up again. But hell, if they could even make one now, and I'd be happy. But who knows? We'll see. Or even just a remake of this movie would be fantastic, just with different actors, just to see what kind of direction they would take it. Who knows? I guess it's based on a book or something. There was some sort of mention on what it was based on at the end, but I didn't quite catch it. Anyhow, the movie's action scenes were phenomenal. There was obviously some CGI in it that you could kind of tell, but I mean, this movie's from 2011, so yeah. I mean, the animation now compared to then is far beyond, for most movies anyway. Sometimes it's a little cheesy still, but I mean, when you're working with CGI and stuff like that, it's hard to perfect it 100%, I would say. Because obviously technology moves so quickly now that by the time one movie comes out, there's already something else there's already the newer version of it, right? But anyhow, I would say this would be the first movie that I would rate 11 out of 10, because it was just that good. Yeah, there were no real bad points besides some of the animation that you could tell, but that wasn't the main focus of this movie. The action sequences and everything were phenomenal, and actually the vampires, which you would think would be the horrible CGI parts, weren't. It was just some of the stunts. You could tell that there was no possible way that anybody could actually pull that off in real life. So yeah, some of them were a little over-exaggerated, but I guess it's a vampire movie, so it's understandable. Oh, I guess Resident Evil would kind of be like another throwback to this, if I didn't already say that. I think I might have, but did I say Doom and Resident Evil? It was kind of like a mixture between that. I think I might have earlier in this review. Anyhow, I believe that is all I have to say about this film. So please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. If you haven't, please go see it before this review, or if you would like to see this review beforehand. I know I kind of wait till the end to say this, but if you, yeah, you know by now if you've seen some of my previous videos, I guess. I kind of wait till the end to say this, but anyhow, yeah, don't let this review deter you from going to see the movie, because this is just one person's opinion. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.